The assault began at dawn, though dawn meant nothing in the depths of space. The combined fleet split into battle groups, each with a specific target. They would attack the construct's outer defenses while a small strike team penetrated to the core. It was the oldest military strategy in history. Distraction and infiltration. Commander Do-Yun led the main battle group. 200 ships moved in formation toward the construct's surface. The automated defenses responded immediately. Beams of energy, missiles that moved faster than light, drones that appeared from nowhere. The battle was chaos from the start. Ships exploded, shields failed, crew members died. But the fleet pressed forward. Every species that had joined the Free Coalition understood what was at stake. This was not just a battle for survival. It was a battle for the right to exist as free beings. Jiwon coordinated the fleet's weapons fire. She had trained for combat her entire life, but nothing had prepared her for this. The construct's defenses were adaptive, learning from each attack, adjusting their tactics in real time. Every advantage the fleet gained was countered within seconds. "We are losing ships faster than projected," she reported to Do-Yun. "At this rate, we will be wiped out in less than an hour." "Then we finish this in less than an hour," Do-Hyun replied. He opened a channel to the strike team. "Kyungmin status?" Kyungmin's voice came through, calm despite the circumstances. "We are approaching the entry point. The construct has not detected us yet. We are using the battle as cover." The strike team consisted of just 3 people. Kyungmin as pilot, Counselor Ven as the awakened guide who could navigate the construct's internal barriers, and Elder Riss, who knew more about the architect's technology than anyone alive. They flew a small human vessel, fast and stealthy. It was designed for exactly this kind of mission. Kyungmin guided it through the battle, weaving between explosions and energy beams, staying invisible in the chaos. Dr. Minji watched from Taewa's memory, tracking the strike team's progress. She wanted to be with them. She had studied the architects for 200 years. This was her life's work. But Do-Hyun had ordered her to stay behind. Her knowledge was too valuable to risk. She hated that he was right. The strike team found the entry point, a small opening in the construct's surface. From the outside, it looked like a maintenance hatch, but Ven could sense its true purpose. It was a test. The architects wanted awakened beings to enter. They wanted to see who was brave enough or foolish enough to try. "Going in," Kyungmin said. The ship slipped through the opening. Inside the construct was madness. Corridors that twisted in impossible directions. Rooms that were bigger on the inside than outside. Gravity that changed direction every few meters. The ship's instruments failed immediately. All that remained was human instinct and Ven's awakened senses. "Left," Ven said. "No, up, wait, that direction has no name. Just trust me." Kyungmin trusted her. He flew blind, relying entirely on her guidance. Elder Riss sat in the back, studying the walls as they passed. The patterns were mathematical equations made physical. He recognized some of them. Others were beyond his understanding. "We are close," Riss said. "I can feel the node's presence. It is alive, conscious. It knows we are here." The ship entered a vast chamber. At the center floated a sphere of light pulsing with energy. The quantum node. The heart of the construct. The thing that connected all conditioned beings to the architects. It was beautiful and terrible. Kyungmin landed the ship as close as he dared. The 3 of them exited, wearing suits that protected against radiation and vacuum. But there was no vacuum here. The air was breathable. The temperature was comfortable. The construct wanted them to approach. They walked toward the node. With each step, they felt its power growing. It was not hostile. It simply existed, maintaining billions of quantum connections across the galaxy. Elder Riss reached it first. He placed his hand on the sphere's surface. Information flooded into his mind. He saw everything, every connection, every species, every mind linked to this device. Billions of beings all unknowingly chained to this single point. "I understand now," Riss said quietly. "The architects believe they are helping. In their realm, individuality is meaningless. Consciousness is collective. They genuinely cannot understand why we resist. To them, the harvest is not death. It is joining something greater." "They are wrong," Ven said. "Yes," Riss agreed. "They are wrong. And we will prove it." He began the process. Using knowledge he had kept hidden for millennia, knowledge passed down through the elder species, he accessed the node's control systems. It was not difficult. The architects had never imagined someone would try to sever the connections. Why would the crops destroy their own purpose? But Riss was not a crop anymore. He was free, and he would free the rest of the galaxy. Outside, the battle intensified. The construct had realized what was happening. It threw everything at the fleet. Do-Yun's ship took a direct hit, shields collapsing. He ordered emergency maneuvers, but another strike was already coming. Ji-Wan moved faster. She redirected power from life support to shields, buying them 3 more seconds. 3 seconds that saved their lives. How much longer? Do-Hyun shouted. Dr. Minji checked her instruments. The quantum field is fluctuating. Riss is doing it. He is severing the connections. But the backlash is building. When it releases, she did not need to finish. Everyone knew what would happen. Inside the construct, alarms sounded. Not physical alarms, mental ones. The node was screaming. It did not want to die. It did not want to release its connections. It fought back, trying to overwhelm Riss's mind with pure information. But Riss was ancient, strong, stubborn. He pushed through the pain. Almost there, he gasped. Just a few more seconds. We need to leave, Kyungmin said. The structure is becoming unstable. No, Ven said. If we leave now, the process will stop. We have to stay until it is complete. Kyungmin understood. He moved to Riss's side. Then I am staying with you. Someone has to witness this. Someone has to remember. Ven joined them. Her 4 hands gripped Riss's arms, lending him strength. And I choose to stay because you should not die alone. Across the galaxy, billions of beings suddenly gasped. Their minds expanded. Neural pathways that had been blocked for their entire lives suddenly opened. They saw patterns they had never noticed. They asked questions they had never thought to ask. They felt free for the first time in their existence. The awakening happened instantly. Every conditioned species in the galaxy awakened simultaneously. Some handled it well. Others broke completely. But all of them were free. The quantum node shattered. The backlash was exactly as predicted. Energy exploded outward, consuming everything in the chamber. Riss, Ven, and Kyungmin vanished in an instant, their molecules torn apart by forces that transcended normal physics. But they had succeeded. The connection was severed. Commander Do-Hyun felt it happen. Every human in the fleet felt it. A wave of quantum energy passing through space, carrying with it the final thoughts of 3 beings who had given everything for freedom. Fire everything, Do-Hyun ordered. Destroy the construct while it is vulnerable. The fleet complied. Every weapon, every missile, every energy beam. They poured everything into the construct's core. The structure, now without its quantum connections, could not maintain stability. It began to collapse. The collapse was spectacular. A sphere the size of a solar system folding in on itself. Reality twisted. Light bent. For a moment, everyone watching thought they could see through to another dimension, a realm of pure consciousness. The architect's home, and then it was gone. The gateway sealed. The construct destroyed. The architects cut off from this galaxy forever. The battle ended. The surviving ships hung in space, battered and damaged. Half the fleet had been destroyed. Thousands of crew members were dead, but they had won. Humanity had won. The Free Coalition had won. The galaxy had won. Dr. Minji stood on the bridge of Taewa's memory, tears streaming down her face. Do-Hyun stood beside her. Neither spoke for a long time. Finally, Minji said, "We should go home." "Home," Do-Hyun repeated. "Earth. A dead world we have never seen. Not dead anymore. We can bring it back to life. We have the technology, the knowledge, and now we have time. No more harvest, no more architects, just us, free to build whatever future we choose." The fleet began the long journey back to Council Space, or what used to be Council Space. Everything had changed. Species were awakened now. They saw the galaxy differently. Old alliances crumbled. New ones formed. The traditional council dissolved completely. In its place, dozens of smaller nations emerged. Some chose isolation. Others sought new partnerships. Humanity helped where they could, sharing technology and knowledge. Not as rulers. As friends, Earth was reclaimed after 47,000 years. Human ships returned to their ancestral home. The dead world was still dead, but life could be brought back. Water could be restored. Atmosphere could be rebuilt. It would take centuries, but humanity had waited this long. They could wait longer. Commander Do-Hyun retired. He chose a quiet colony beyond the galactic rim, in the void where humanity had survived. He spent his remaining years writing, recording history, making sure future generations would remember what happened, would remember the price of freedom. Dr. Minji became the first chancellor of the new Galactic Commonwealth. Not a council. A commonwealth. The combined fleet was massive. 300 ships from humanity and the Free Coalition species traveled together toward the galactic core. They moved in formation, a display of unity that would have been impossible just months earlier. Every ship had awakened crew members, people who could see past the genetic conditioning, who could navigate the psychological barriers that had kept their ancestors away from this region for thousands of years. Commander Do-hyun stood on the bridge of Taewa's memory, watching the star density increase as they approached the core. This region of space was beautiful and deadly. Stars packed so close together that their gravity wells overlapped. Radiation levels that could kill unshielded crew in minutes. Spatial anomalies that made faster-than-light travel nearly impossible. But the fleet had humanity's technology. Ships that could shield against radiation. Navigation systems that could plot courses through gravitational chaos. They pressed forward where no council ship had gone for millennia. Dr. Minji worked in the science lab, analyzing data from their long-range sensors. She had not slept in 3 days. Every scan revealed something new, something impossible. Ancient structures floating in the void. Artificial satellites older than recorded history. Power signatures that should not exist. "We are getting close," she said to Sora, who sat at the engineering console. "The structures are responding to our presence." "They know we are here." Sora studied her instruments. "The power levels are increasing. Whatever these things are, they are waking up." Like the signal suggested, a young pilot named Kyungmin sat at the helm. He was only 25, born in the void between galaxies, never having seen Earth. But he flew with the skill of someone twice his age. "Commander, I am detecting movement ahead." Something large. Very large. The main screen showed what the sensors had found. A wall, that was the only word that fit. A structure stretching across space. Millions of kilometers wide, made of material that absorbed light. It looked like someone had built a barrier to keep the galaxy's citizens away from whatever lay beyond. "Weapons?" Do-hyun asked. The tactical officer, Ji-won, checked her displays. Ji-won was a combat specialist, trained for situations exactly like this. "Yes, sir. The wall is armed. I am detecting automated defense systems. Thousands of them. They are activating." Across the fleet, alarms sounded. Ships moved into defensive formations. Shields powered up. Weapons charged. The Free Coalition species had brought their best warships, but everyone knew they might not be enough. The first attack came without warning. Beams of energy lanced out from the wall, targeting specific ships. Not randomly, selectively. The beams struck vessels crewed by non-awakened beings, species still carrying the genetic conditioning. Those ships simply stopped. Their power died. Their crews fell unconscious. The human ships and those crewed by awakened beings were ignored. "It is scanning us," Minji said, understanding dawning. "The defenses are checking for the genetic markers. Ships without awakened crews are being disabled. It wants to keep the conditioned species away." Counselor Ven was on the bridge as an observer. Her forearms gripped the railing as she watched her people's ships go dark. "This is barbaric. They are defenseless when they are alive," Do-hyun said. "The defenses could have destroyed them. Instead, they are being put to sleep. The architects do not want to harm their crops. Just control them." The fleet split. Ships with non-awakened crews fell back, dragged away by rescue vessels. The remaining ships, less than half the original force, continued forward. They approached the wall, searching for a way through. Sora found it. A gap in the structure, small but navigable. "There, it looks like a doorway. The power signatures are different. I think it will let us pass." "Why would they leave a door?" Kyungmin asked. "Because they want us to enter," Minji said quietly. "They want awakened beings to come inside. That is the point of the conditioning. To keep everyone else out but draw the free ones in." Do-hyun considered this. "It is a trap." "Probably," Minji agreed. "But we have no choice. We need to know what is in there." The fleet passed through the gap. On the other side, they found wonder and horror in equal measure. Space itself was different here. Colors that should not exist. Geometries that hurt to perceive. And at the center of it all, floating in impossible orbits around a cluster of ancient stars, was the construct. It was a sphere, But calling it a sphere was like calling the ocean a puddle. The structure was the size of a solar system. Its surface was covered in patterns that shifted and changed. Equations made physical, mathematics given form. Light bent around it in ways that violated known physics. What is that? Kyungmin whispered. That, Dr. Minji said, is what the architects left behind. A machine, a tool, a gateway perhaps. Something that has been here for millions of years, waiting. As the fleet approached, the construct responded. A presence touched their minds. Not words, not images. Pure information downloaded directly into their consciousness. It was overwhelming. Several crew members collapsed, their brains unable to process the data stream. But some understood. Minji understood. Doyun understood. Ven understood. The construct was showing them the truth. The complete truth. The architects were not from this galaxy, not from this dimension. They existed in a space beyond normal physics, a realm where consciousness and energy were the same thing. They had discovered this galaxy millions of years ago and seen potential. Raw resources, biological diversity, minds that could think and create and dream. So they did what any advanced civilization might do. They optimized the resource. They engineered species to develop in specific ways. They guided evolution. They created civilizations that would grow and build and create culture and art and science. And when those civilizations reached a certain threshold, a certain level of complexity, the architects would harvest them. Not kill them, harvest them. Extract their collective consciousness, their creativity, their accumulated knowledge. Store it, use it, feed on it. Every 500,000 years the galaxy underwent a harvest. Advanced civilizations vanished. Their minds were taken, their bodies discarded, their worlds left empty for the next cycle. The genetic conditioning ensured that species would develop to exactly the right point before the harvest. Not too primitive, not too advanced, perfect. 4 harvests had already occurred. The galaxy was overdue for the 5th. Why? Ven asked, tears streaming from her eyes. Why create us just to destroy us? The presence in their minds did not answer with words. But they understood anyway. The architects did not see it as destruction. They saw it as transcendence. The harvested minds joined something larger, something beyond individual existence. They became part of the architects themselves. Their consciousness merged into a vast collective that existed beyond time and space. From the architect's perspective, this was a gift. They were saving species from the limitations of physical existence. They were elevating them. From humanity's perspective, it was murder. Can we stop it? Do-hyun asked. The presence showed them the answer. The construct was a gateway. It allowed the architects to reach into this dimension from their home realm. As long as the gateway existed, the harvest was inevitable. The only way to stop it was to destroy the construct. But the construct was protected. Not by weapons, by something worse. By quantum entanglement. Every species with the genetic conditioning was linked to the construct at a fundamental level. If the construct was destroyed, all conditioned species would die instantly. Billions of beings across thousands of worlds, all gone. The architects had built the perfect defense. To destroy the gateway meant genocide on a galactic scale. To leave it intact meant accepting the harvest. Do-hyun looked at his crew. There has to be another way. Dr. Minji was studying the data, her mind racing. Maybe. The entanglement works both ways. The construct is connected to the conditioned species, but they are also connected to it. If we could sever that connection before destroying the construct. The awakening treatment, Sora said. It breaks the genetic conditioning. If we could awaken everyone, that would take years, decades. We do not have that much time. Elder Riss's voice came over the communication channel. The old Vryn had followed the fleet, watching from a distance. There may be a way, a faster way, but it requires a sacrifice. Do-hyun listened as Riss explained. The construct's connection to conditioned species was maintained by a central node, a quantum processor at the heart of the structure. If someone could reach that node and manually sever the connection, it would free all conditioned beings simultaneously. It would be like doing the awakening treatment on the entire galaxy at once. But whoever went to the node would not survive. The quantum backlash would destroy them at a molecular level. I will go, Riss said. I am old. I have lived too long already. Let this be my atonement for what my generation did to humanity. Do-hyun started to argue, but Ven cut him off. No, I will go. I am awakened. I can navigate the construct's defenses. Elder Riss, you are needed to help rebuild what comes after. I volunteer as well, Kyungmin said. I can fly anything. I can get us to the node, a plan formed. It was desperate and terrible. But it might work. The galaxy was breaking apart. Not physically, but politically, socially, psychologically. Within days of the revelation on Axis Prime, hundreds of council species demanded investigations. They wanted to see the genetic data. They wanted to examine the old military records. They wanted to know if they were really designed, really engineered, really just tools created by something ancient and unknowable. The elder species tried to maintain control. They claimed the human evidence was forged. They threatened sanctions against any species that pursued the matter. They moved military fleets to strategic positions, a show of force meant to intimidate. It did not work. Too many species had seen the data. Too many had verified it independently. The genetic markers were real. The engineering was undeniable. And now that people knew to look for it, they found it everywhere, in their own biology, in their history, in the strange gaps in the archaeological record where civilizations should have been but were not. The younger species were angry. Some turned violent. Riots broke out on a dozen worlds as populations demanded answers from their leaders. Several governments fell in bloody revolutions. Trade routes collapsed as trust between species evaporated. And through it all, the human fleet remained in orbit above Axis Prime, watching, waiting, making no threats but refusing to leave. Inside the flagship, Commander Do-hyun met with his senior staff. The ship was called the Taehwa's Memory, named after the colony vessel that had carried their ancestors into exile. The conference room was simple, functional. Humans did not waste space on decoration. We have created chaos, Dr. Minji said. She sat at the table looking tired. Half the galaxy is in turmoil. Was this really necessary? Do-hyun looked at her steadily. Yes, they needed to know. Better chaos now than extinction later. You sound very certain that the architects will return. I am certain. The patterns are clear. Every 500,000 years, the galaxy sees a mass extinction event. Advanced civilizations vanish. The archaeological record resets. It has happened at least 4 times that we can prove. We are overdue for the 5th cycle. Another person spoke. Her name was Sora, and she was the fleet's chief engineer. Young, brilliant, and impatient with politics. The council species cannot see it because they are programmed not to. Their genetic conditioning prevents them from recognizing the pattern. But we can see it clearly. The architects harvest the galaxy like farmers harvest crops. Minji rubbed her eyes. And you think we can stop them? Beings powerful enough to engineer entire species, to control the development of civilizations across millions of years? No, Do-hyun said bluntly. I do not think we can stop them. But I think we can try, and I think we have to wake up the rest of the galaxy first. They cannot fight what they cannot see. A communication officer entered the room. Commander, we are receiving a request from Counselor Ven. She wants to meet with you privately. Do-hyun nodded. Send her up. Ven arrived an hour later. The Quellan counselor looked different than she had in the grand chamber. Less composed. More vulnerable. Her 4 arms moved nervously as she entered the conference room. Thank you for seeing me, she said. Do-hyun gestured to a chair. You are welcome here, counselor. You were one of the few who listened. Ven sat. I have been reviewing the genetic data. I had my own scientists verify it. Everything you said is true. My species was engineered. We have markers in our DNA that should not exist naturally, markers that match dozens of other species. She paused. I need to know something. Can you remove them? Sora leaned forward. Remove the markers? Yes, we have developed a treatment, a genetic therapy that can disable the conditioning. But it is not simple. It takes time. And it is painful. Your brain will have to rebuild neural pathways that the conditioning suppressed. How painful? Very. You will experience what we call awakening. Your mind will suddenly see patterns it was blind to before. It will be like removing blinders you did not know you were wearing. Some people break under the strain. Ven's 4 hands clenched. I want it. I need to see clearly. I cannot serve my people if I am being controlled. Dr. Minji spoke gently. Are you certain? Once you awaken, you cannot go back. You will see the galaxy differently. You will see your own history differently. It changes everything. I am certain, Ven said firmly. When can we begin? 3 days later, Counselor Ven woke up. She screamed. The human medical staff had expected this, but it was still hard to hear. She screamed for 6 hours straight as her brain rewired itself, as the genetic conditioning broke down, as she saw the truth for the first time. When the screaming stopped, she lay quietly in the medical bay. Do-hyun visited her. She looked at him with new eyes. Different eyes. I see it now, she whispered. All my life there were questions I never asked, thoughts I never had, patterns I never noticed. They were blocked, forbidden, and I never even knew. I know, Do-hyun said. We studied this for centuries. The conditioning is subtle. It does not feel like control. It feels like natural thought. That is what makes it so effective. Ven sat up slowly. There are places in the galaxy I never wanted to visit. Research I never wanted to pursue. History I never wanted to question. I thought those were my own choices. But they were not. I was programmed to avoid them. The galactic core, Do-hyun said. That is the biggest blind spot. Every council species avoids the core region. You have laws against traveling there. You claim it is too dangerous, too unstable. But that is the conditioning speaking. The architects do not want you near the core. Why? What is there? We do not know exactly. But our scans show massive artificial structures, ancient, dormant, waiting. Ven stood. Her legs were unsteady, but her voice was strong. Then we need to go there. We need to see what they are hiding. Do-hyun smiled slightly. It was the first time Ven had seen him smile. That is what we hoped you would say. Over the following weeks, more council species requested the awakening treatment. Not many, most were too afraid. But enough. Young counselors, scientists, military officers. People who wanted to see the truth no matter the cost. Each awakening was different. Some people handled it well. Others broke completely, their minds unable to process the revelation that their entire existence had been manipulated. The human medical staff did their best, but they could not save everyone. The elder species watched this with growing alarm. They knew what it meant. Every awakened being was someone who could no longer be controlled. Someone who could see past the conditioning. Someone who might discover secrets that had been hidden for millions of years. Elder Riss made one final attempt to stop it. He appeared on galactic broadcasts, speaking to all council species simultaneously. His message was simple and desperate. Humanity is destroying the peace we have built. They are spreading lies and chaos. They are using dangerous technology to alter minds. We must unite against this threat. We must protect the stability of our civilization. But his words fell flat. Too many people had seen the evidence. Too many had verified the genetic engineering. Too many had awakened and seen the truth. 3 weeks after the revelation, the council officially fragmented. 200 species declared independence, forming a new alliance with humanity. They called themselves the Free Coalition. Another 1,000 species remained with the traditional council, either because they believed the elder species or because they feared change. The remaining species stayed neutral, waiting to see which side would prevail. Commander Do-hyun addressed the Free Coalition from the deck of his flagship. We have done what we came to do. We have revealed the lie. We have given you the truth. Now we must take the next step. We must go to the galactic core. We must find what the architects left behind, and we must understand what they plan to do when they return. Counselor Ven stood beside him. She was one of the first awakened, and she had become a leader among her people. The Free Coalition will send ships. We will join your expedition. We will face this together. Dr. Minji prepared the scientific teams. Sora readied the engineering crews. The military forces of 100 species began coordinating their efforts. It was the first time in galactic history that such a diverse fleet had worked toward a common goal, without council oversight. As the fleet prepared to depart, sensors detected something strange. A signal from deep space, old, powerful, repeating in a mathematical sequence that all awakened beings could recognize immediately. The signal came from the galactic core, from the Forbidden Zone, from the structures the architects had left behind, and it was activating. Whatever had been sleeping at the heart of the galaxy for millions of years was waking up, and it knew humanity was coming. The Grand Chamber on Axis Prime had never been so crowded. Representatives from 3,000 species filled the enormous amphitheater. The space was designed to hold them all, with sections adapted for beings who breathed methane, beings who lived underwater, beings who existed as clouds of charged particles. The architecture was a wonder, a symbol of unity and diversity. Today it felt like a prison. Commander Do-hyun stood on the speaking platform at the center of the chamber. He wore a simple uniform, dark blue with no decorations. His face was hard, weathered by years of command. Behind him, projected on massive screens visible from every angle, floated the black ships of the human fleet. 200 vessels, each one a masterpiece of engineering, holding position in orbit above the Council's capital world. The chamber was silent. Thousands of beings representing thousands of worlds waited to hear what this human had to say. Do-hyun did not speak. Instead, he gestured to the woman standing beside him. Dr. Minji stepped forward. She was shorter than Do-hyun, with gentle features that contrasted sharply with the commander's stern appearance. She carried a data tablet, though she did not look at it. She had memorized everything she was about to say. "I am Dr. Minji," she began. Her voice was calm, carried by the chamber's translation systems into thousands of languages simultaneously. "I am a historian. For the past 200 years, I have studied the records of my people, the records you thought were destroyed, the records that tell the truth about what happened to humanity." A ripple of movement passed through the crowd. Whispers, nervous energy. Minji continued, "You teach your children that humanity destroyed itself in the year 2991. You say we were aggressive, violent, unable to control our nuclear weapons. You say we committed suicide, burning our own world to ash. This is what every species in this chamber believes. This is the official history of the Galactic Council." She paused. "It is a lie." The whispers grew louder. Minji raised her hand and the screens behind her changed. They showed images now. Old images. A blue world, green and white with clouds and oceans. Earth, but not dead. Alive. Thriving. In the year 2847, humanity achieved faster than light travel. We were not as advanced as many of you, but we were eager to explore. Within 50 years, we established 37 colonies across local space. We built stations, farms, research facilities. We met other species. We traded, we learned. We asked questions, the images changed. Human cities on alien worlds. Human ships docked at council stations. Humans shaking hands or tentacles or whatever appendages other species offered. The images looked genuine, old but real. We were not perfect, Minji said. We were young. Sometimes too bold, sometimes too curious. But we were not monsters. We did not threaten anyone. We simply wanted to be part of the galaxy. An elderly counselor stood. His species was ancient, one of the founding members of the council. His name was Riss and he was Vryn. His body was tall and thin, covered in scales that shimmered in the chamber's light. "This is propaganda," Riss declared. "Humanity destroyed itself. We have records. We have evidence. This woman shows us fake images and expects us to abandon established history." Minji looked at him directly. "You have fake records, Elder Riss, records you created, because you were there. You were alive when it happened. You remember the truth." Riss went very still. Minji continued. "In the year 2985, human archaeologists discovered something on a dead world at the edge of council space. Ancient ruins, older than any known civilization. Inside those ruins were warnings, mathematical equations that described something impossible. They described genetic manipulation on a galactic scale. They described you, the screens changed again. Now they showed scientific data, gene sequences, comparison charts. Species after species, their genetic codes displayed side by side. And in each one, highlighted in red, were identical markers, artificial markers, signs of engineering. Humanity discovered that dozens of council species share these markers. You were not naturally evolved. You were created, designed, built by something ancient. And when humanity found this evidence and started asking questions, you decided we were too dangerous to live. The chamber erupted, shouts in 1,000 languages, denials, accusations. Council guards moved to maintain order, but the chaos grew. Do-hyun stepped forward. He did not shout. He simply stood there, waiting. His presence was enough. Slowly, the noise died down. "Show them," he said quietly. Minji nodded. The screens changed one final time. Now they showed military records, council military records, orders signed by the highest authorities, fleet movements, weapon deployments, target coordinates, 37 sets of coordinates. every human colony, every human outpost, and Earth. On the 15th day of the third month in the year 2991, Minji said, the Galactic Council launched a coordinated strike on every human settlement in known space. You used weapons that are now illegal by your own laws, weapons that sterilize worlds, weapons that leave no survivors. The images showed the aftermath. Burned worlds, dead cities, billions of bodies. The chamber fell silent again, but this time the silence was different, heavier, darker. You killed us, Minji said simply. All of us. Or so you thought. But you missed one ship. One colony vessel that launched just before your attack. The Tehwa's Dream. It carried 50,000 humans in cryogenic sleep. It fled beyond the galactic rim, into the void between galaxies where your sensors could not follow. She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. We have been out there for 47,000 years, growing, building, advancing, remembering what you did. And now we have returned. A younger counselor stood. Her name was Ven, and she was also Cullen. Her voice shook as she spoke. Why? Why would the council do this? We are not murderers. We are peacekeepers. This makes no sense. Minji looked at her with something like pity. Because you were not in control. Because the council's founders knew the truth about the genetic engineering, and they were terrified of what would happen if a natural species discovered it. They were terrified of losing control. So they eliminated the threat. Elder Riss stood again. This time his voice was different, tired, old. You cannot prove this. These could be fabrications. Visual tricks, Doyun spoke. We can prove it. We have your original military logs. We recovered them from a damaged council ship that crashed in the void. The ship's crew died, but the computers survived. Everything is there. Orders, communications. The truth. He looked around the chamber. We brought copies for anyone who wants to verify them. We are not here to lie. You are the liars. We are here to tell the truth. Minji stepped forward again. You taught your children that humanity was a warning. A lesson about the dangers of aggression. But the real lesson is different. The real lesson is what happens when those in power decide that truth is too dangerous. When they decide that some questions should never be asked. She gestured to the screens, which now showed genetic data again. Most of you in this chamber do not know that you were engineered. The knowledge was kept from you. Only the eldest species knew. They built the council not as a union of equals, but as a system to maintain control, to keep younger species from asking the wrong questions, to keep the galaxy stable and predictable. Ven looked at her own hands as if seeing them for the first time. Are you saying I'm not real? That my species is artificial? You are real, Minji said gently. You think, you feel, you dream. You are alive, but your ancestors were designed by something ancient, something that left those ruins across the galaxy. Something that we call the architects. The word hung in the air. Architects. Beings so old and powerful that they could design entire species. Do-hyun spoke again. We are not here for revenge, though we would be justified. We are not here to destroy the council. We are here because those genetic markers you carry are not random. They are programming. Limitations built into your minds that prevent you from seeing certain truths, from asking certain questions, from going to certain places. He paused. Humanity does not have those limitations. We evolved naturally on Earth. We can see what you cannot. And what we see terrifies us, Minji nodded. The architects did not just create you and leave. They are still watching, still waiting. And soon they will return. That is why we came back. Not for justice, not for revenge, but to warn you, to wake you up, before it is too late. The chamber was silent. 3,000 species, 3,000 worlds, all trying to process what they had heard. Some looked angry. Some looked confused. Some looked terrified. Elder Riss sat down slowly. He looked old now, ancient, defeated. Commander Do-hyun let the silence stretch. Then he spoke one final time. You have a choice. Help us uncover the truth about the architects, or we will do it alone. Either way, the age of lies is over. The galaxy will know what it really is, whether you like it or not. The warning lights flashed red across the monitoring station's main display. Commander Thalvin stared at the screen with his forearms crossed, 2 over his chest and 2 behind his back. He had seen false alarms before. Space was full of strange readings that meant nothing. Asteroids, solar flares, equipment failures. This was probably just another glitch in the old sensors. Run a diagnostic, he ordered his crew. The station floated at the edge of the Velros sector. far from any major civilizations. It was a boring assignment. Nothing ever happened out here. His communication officer, a young Quellan named Fess, worked at her console. "Sir, the diagnostic shows the sensors are working perfectly. These readings are real. Something big is creating gravitational distortions about 40 light-years away." Thalvin frowned. 40 light-years. That was the dead zone. Nothing lived out there except rocks and frozen gas. "How big?" "Multiple objects, sir. At least 50 signatures. Maybe more. They're moving. Moving where?" "Toward us." A cold feeling spread through Thalvin's chest. In his 30 years of service to the Galactic Council, he had never heard of anything moving through that region. The dead zone was exactly that: dead, empty, safe. "Send a probe," he commanded. "I want visual confirmation." 3 hours later, the probe sent back its first images. Then it went silent. The last thing it transmitted was a shape. Dark, smooth, unknown. Nothing in the Galactic Council's database matched it. The ship, if it was a ship, looked like it had been carved from black glass. No lights, no markings, no identification signals, just darkness moving through space. Thalvin sent an emergency message to Council headquarters on Axis Prime. Then he waited. He ordered his crew to power up the station's defensive systems. Not that they would do much good. The station was designed to watch, not fight. Its weapons were minimal, meant only to destroy small asteroids that might threaten shipping lanes. The wait lasted 6 hours. During that time, 11 more Council stations reported the same thing. Strange ships, gravitational distortions, probes going silent. Every station was on the same vector, forming a line pointing directly at Council space. When the reply came from Axis Prime, it was brief. "Maintain position. Observe and report. Do not engage. Fleet units are being dispatched to your location." Thalvin felt some relief. The Council would handle this. They always did. The Council had maintained peace across the galaxy for thousands of years. They had weapons and ships and technology that could handle any threat. Whatever these strange vessels were, the Council would stop them. But the strange ships arrived before the Council fleet did. Thalvin was drinking heated kelm when the proximity alarm screamed. His cup fell from his hand, spilling purple liquid across the floor. The main screen showed 5 objects emerging from faster-than-light travel. 5 ships, each the size of a Council dreadnought, appearing from nowhere. They moved with impossible precision, forming a perfect pentagon around his station. "Hail them," Thalvin ordered, keeping his voice steady. "Standard first contact protocols." Fess worked her console. "No response, sir." "They're not acknowledging our hails. They're not broadcasting any identification. They're just there. Scan them. I want to know what we're dealing with." The science officer, a nervous Quellan named Hess, ran every scanner the station had. "Sir, I'm getting strange readings. Their hulls are made of something I've never seen. The composition doesn't match any known alloy. And their power signatures," and he paused. "Sir, each of those ships is putting out more energy than our entire station. By a factor of 10. Thalvin felt his blood chill. "Weapons? I can't tell. The scans keep being deflected. It's like they're surrounded by some kind of field that disrupts our sensors." One of the ships moved closer. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. As it approached, Thalvin could see intricate patterns etched into its surface. Geometric designs that hurt to look at. "Mathematics made physical, sir," Fess said quietly. "They're powering something. I'm detecting a massive energy spike. Shields to maximum. All hands to battle stations." The station's alarm klaxons wailed. The crew rushed to their positions. Thalvin stood on the command deck, watching the black ship grow larger on the screen. His 4 hands gripped the railing in front of him. Then the lights went out. Everything stopped. The engines, the life support, the gravity generators, the weapons, the communications, all of it died in the same instant. Emergency power should have kicked in. It didn't. The station was completely dead. Only the backup life support in the crew's suits kept them breathing. Thalvin floated in the darkness, weightless. Through the viewport, he could see the 5 black ships holding position around his station. They hadn't fired a weapon. They hadn't even touched the station. They had simply turned everything off. His suit radio crackled. It was Fess, her voice shaking. "Sir, what do we do?" Before Thalvin could answer, every screen in the station flickered to life. The main display, the personal tablets, even the maintenance panels, all of them showed the same thing, a symbol. A circle with a vertical line through it, simple, clean, unknown. Then text appeared below the symbol. It was written in perfect galactic standard, the common language used by all council species. Humanity requests an audience with the Galactic Council. We have much to discuss about the truth. Thalvin read the message 3 times. His mind refused to process it. Humanity. The word was ancient, a name from the history files, a cautionary tale told to young species about the dangers of aggression and nuclear weapons. Humanity was extinct. Every child in the galaxy learned that story. Humanity had destroyed itself 47,000 years ago. They had killed themselves with atomic fire, leaving nothing but a dead world orbiting a yellow star. Their ruins had been catalogued and sealed. The human chapter of galactic history had been closed for nearly 50 millennia. But here was a message displayed on every screen, claiming to be from humans who commanded ships with technology that made the Galactic Council look primitive, humans who had emerged from the dead zone, from the darkness beyond the galaxy's edge, with demands. The screens changed. The symbol faded, replaced by a countdown timer. It showed 72 hours. Below it, new text appeared. You have 3 days to convene the full Galactic Council. We will come to Axis Prime. We will speak the truth you have hidden. We will show the galaxy what you did. Prepare yourselves. The age of lies is ending. The screens went dark again. Power flooded back into the station. Lights blazed. Systems rebooted. Gravity returned, pulling Thalvin back to the floor. He landed hard, all 4 arms catching his fall. The 5 black ships turned as one, moving with perfect synchronization. They aligned themselves toward the galactic core, toward Axis Prime, toward the heart of Council power. Then they vanished, jumping to faster than light speed so smoothly that the station's sensors barely registered their departure. Thalvin stood in the restored light of his command deck. His crew looked at him, waiting for orders. He had none. His hands were shaking. All 4 of them. Contact Axis Prime, he said finally. Tell them humanity is coming. Across the sector, 12 other stations sent the same message. And across the galaxy, in every council hall and government building, in every military headquarters and university, beings of 1,000 different species received the news. Humanity, the dead species, the extinct civilization, the cautionary tale was alive, and they were coming home with questions.